Здравствуйте.
Good afternoon one more time.
Там звучит прекрасный голос.
There is a great music there. I'm going to promise now that in the end of our session we will dance as well.
Поэтому настраивайтесь
So
на прекрасное
get ready
завершение.
for the great
Меня
ending.
зовут Наталья
My
Тарченко.
name is Natalia
Я
Tarchenko. I'm
директор
one of the co-organizers of
конференции
this
в Киеве,
conference in Kiev,
также
and also
CEO и
I'm the CEO
соосновательница группы
and
компании DEC.
co-founder of the
Один из наших
DEC group of
самых дорогих
companies,
сердцу проектов,
and one of our projects
который
that's
придумал
dearest to our
ДКС.
hearts that we opened 2 years
Школа нового
ago
формата,
is the new format. Call it alternative
DEC
school,
School.
Deck Life School.
Да, здравствуйте.
Yes, good afternoon. We all saw each other today. We kissed each other. We hugged. My name is Svitlana Zaluzhna. I'm the leader and co-author of the Deck Life School. And most of my time I work with the parents, I work with teachers, and in fact I'm working to establish a new school culture, and we would like to talk about it, and we're happy that our children are with us, because Dima Zitzer is talking about it, because the conference is about children, but there are no children. But there are children here, and our parents are here. I fully support it. I think that the next concerts will be conducted by the children. We needed the first step to warm up, and then we understand that when these conferences are devoted to children, around children, children have to be sort of the main heroes of this event, right?
Я скажу буквально пару слов
I would
о
like
том,
to say a couple of words
как появилась наша
how
школа.
our school came to
Сегодня я
being,
в
because
вступительном слове рассказывала,
during
как
greetings
4
I
года
was
назад
telling how 4
посвященный
years
социальному
ago we
вопросам
absolutely
собрались на
occasionally
IDEC-конференции в
we
Финляндии.
ended
Помню,
up
что
at
конференция
the
под
IDEC
названием
conference
«За
at
нашу компанию»
Finland.
называется «ДЭК не может без случайностей».
We
ДЭК
understood that
команда
this
приехала.
conference was
В
for
тот
a
момент
reason,
школы
and
не
at the
было,
moment there was no school,
были наши другие
and there were
образовательные
other
проекты.
educational
Мы
projects,
прекрасно
and
отправляем на учебу
we're
зарубеж
sending children
детей, в частные школы, в
for
университеты.
studying abroad, to
Подъехали к
private
моменту
schools, to
конференции
university.
участников
By the
мира,
conference
познакомились
in
с
Finland, we
самыми ведущими
traveled half of the
университетами,
world. We
престижными
met
школами.
leading
И нам
universities,
казалось, что мы знаем
prestigious
все про
schools, and we
образование
thought we
за
knew
рубежом.
everything about
Приехав на
the
конференцию
education
ДЭК,
abroad.
что
And
мы туда
when we
приехали,
came to the
потому что
IDEC conference,
в этот момент
and the
наш
reason we
старший сын
came
после 4
is
класса,
because
все 4
our
года
older
подряд мы
son
задавали
and
себе вопрос, как же
graduated
началась
from
наша
grade
школа.
4, and we asked,
Когда
why do we
наступали
need a
длинные
school
вечера в
when there were
совместном
so long evenings of the
сопровождении за домашним
uh,
заданием, папа
mutual
клеил
spending
шишки,
time doing
мама
homework.
контролировала примеры,
Father
а детей настроили.
was
Мы думаем,
gluing,
что же станет с нами,
and
когда все трое пойдут в
mother
школу.
controlled these examples.
И
And we have 3
4 года,
children.
пока он
For all
заканчивал
of 4
начальную
years,
школу, мы
when
задавали
he
себе вопросы, а что
studied at the
важнее,
primary school, we actually asked
скорость
ourselves, what is
чтения
more
или любовь к
important,
книгам?
the speed of reading and
Рисовать
love of
почерк
books,
или умение
nice handwriting, or inability to
высказывать свои мысли,
express your thoughts,
уметь коммуницировать
ability to
или
communicate,
получать хорошие
or
оценки.
get good marks.
И
And
на многие
obviously,
вопросы
to
у нас
many
не было
questions, we
ответа
had
в
no answer
существующей системе.
in the existing system.
И мы понимали, что
And we
должно быть
understood
нечто
that there
большее.
should be
Должно быть
something more.
что-то
There should be something
по-другому,
that is done differently,
где
where
ребенку
the
важно,
child's
где он
opinion
имеет
is
право на
important,
выбор,
when he has a right to choose,
где он получает
when
удовольствие от
he gets a
обучения,
pleasure from
потому
education,
что наши дети
because
проходят
our children are
12 лет в школе,
spending 12 years
по
at
7-8
school
часов в день,
for
это
7 or 8
невероятное
hours a
количество,
day.
тысячи
This is
часов.
thousands of hours,
После этого они
amazing
выходят
number. And
восхищенными
then
глазами,
when they come back with the
как
sad
их должна быть
eyes,
их жизнь.
you ask yourself,
И
is it the
оказавшись
life
на
they
IDEC в
want?
Финляндии,
And when I
мы
found
оказались
myself at the
среди
IDEC
людей
Finland,
с безумными глазами.
we found ourselves
Мы
among
не могли
people
поверить,
with
что
sparkles in their
мы
eyes, and we
что-то
couldn't
новое из другого
believe
мира.
we're simply in a
Люди, которые
different
уже
world.
20-30 лет
People who for
открывали
20, 30
школы,
years,
руководят школами,
they founded
открывают новые
schools, they
проекты
running
социальные,
school, they
говорят
open
про
new
изменения
social projects,
систем.
they talk about
А,
changes in the
Мы
systems.
слушали разговоры на
And we
таком
talked
уровне,
about
понимали, что открыть школу — это
we
самое минимальное
listened
вообще, что мы можем
and
сделать
we
для
understood
школы.
that the opening the school is the least we can do in this world. And when we came back, we went to Israel, we went to the old democratic schools in Israel and Finland, and we had a new round of travel, but not prestigious schools, Harvard, Oxford, and Cambridge's. We started to look around and try to find out the unique educational institutions which are built around children, where the children are not object but subject of education, where children have freedom, when they can choose, where they don't have a standard testing, when they are authors of their life. During our exploration, we knew what we wanted, but how to arrive there, we had no clue. So we're grateful that there are a lot of people who think alike, and I would like to mention the first strategic session when we planned this school. Svitlana was there, and we thought, okay, let's write what kind of school do we want. We put together a long list where 33 principles were there which are necessary in our school, because everything, all the best that we saw in our school, it has to be there. We don't want marks, we don't want homeworks. We want children to choose their subjects. We want children to set the rules. We want teachers to be mature, self-conscious, and learn by themselves. It's a very long list. And moving to the topic of our today's meeting, after writing all these principles, we didn't realize that it's not enough just to write them down to implement them. You have to change. The teachers have to change first. Those adults who are establishing schools. And that's why we would like to talk about culture and what is the agent of changes. Culture is an instrument of change. This is what we came to after a few years of school. We realized that the teacher is an agent of change, and everything we want to give to children, teachers have to have in themselves first. This is a fundamental thing that has become a breakthrough for us, and we want to share it today with you. And we want to do it not as lecture, but rather a practical thing too, because you're at the conference for a half day, you listen for number of speakers for a number of hours in a row, and one of the elements of the culture of our school is a reflection, constant reflection of what's going on, where we're succeeding, where we're not, quick solutions, getting rid of what's not working, reflection, what's happening with us, with the methodology, with children, with parents, with teachers. This is all very important, and you got our distribution material, and we will be working today with it. And I would like to invite you to think. There's a very interesting format where there are 4 quarters, and you can stop and sort of think everything you've heard today, because there will be 3 more speakers after us, and then there will be 6 more speakers tomorrow. And what is the most important is what I'm leaving with, to stop and think about it. I'm not asking you to fill it out now, we'll work with it later, but what's in general, what I disagree with, what is an insight for me, what else I would like to study or research, what I think is it total creative thing. Like, it's really, really understand important. And in our school, there is a culture. There is a culture of being self-aware. There is a meditation practices. Teachers, team leaders are practicing meditation. Some parents that went through training, and not all the children practice it, but the children have the ritual of the attention practice. There is a moment, stop and think, to listen to yourself, and set yourself for what you do. Let's after lunch, let's stop for a moment and close your eyes for 1 minute. Open up a student, a child, a pupil in you. And when I come to listen to someone, we often hear, we resist, we have some arguments, but it's very important to analyze anything. It's very important to at least accept this information flow. So please close your eyes for a second. Let's stop for a second and let's take this sort of grounded pose when both your feet and hands are in a convenient position when you're sitting and you're feeling, you can feel your back, your hands, your legs, and open up a pupil in you. Think what I'm open to, why am I here? Take a deep breath. One more deep breath, please. One more. One more deep breath. Think, why are you here? What brought you here? Open your eyes, please. Can we continue? And we would like to tell you with Natalia, what are we changing? What are the main sort of pair of relationships that we are changing at school? It doesn't mean we have already changed them. We are on the way. We're going. We have small but very important changes, and I would like to add that at a certain moment we understood that school is a constantly changing organization. School cannot be neither the storage area nor a plan that was built once, which is printing the same children according to the existing standards. And for us, it has become clear that in order for children to change, we adults have to change. Leaders, administration, teachers, tutors. And one of the changes that we went to consciously is the changing the relationship between children, between parents and school. Because I'm sure that there is an existing stereotype of relationship between parents and school, and I think private projects are in the most difficult position because when the parents are already paying money, they think that my school is like a good expensive restaurant where you can order anything you want for your child according to the menu. Our objective, or our wish actually, was to tell them is that school is a kitchen where we, teachers and parents and children, together we are cooking a dish. And we're not against each other, but we're together. There is a nice word called partnership pedagogy, and we probably many new projects are coming through the stage of the loss of faith in December, when 30% of children and parents left us. And at the moment, we were asking ourselves a question, do we truly believe in those 33 principles? Is it justified where we want to go? Does it work? Really? After 2 years, I can tell you it works. After the last meeting with parents, we had this meeting not for parents, but together with parents. And I think this was such a wonderful thing when the parents participated in general gatherings, sharing with each other their fears, with their worries, observations. We thought in the beginning that they dance all the time. Why are they smiling? Children in October, children from other schools, they smile while others are not. Maybe it's a kindergarten, not school, whether they will learn. And we're truly grateful that there is transformation that is happening with parents as well. And it's great to live through it with parents. And if we want to talk about the relationship between parents and school, the relationship between parents and children is also very important. If we look back 2-3 years ago, when we started this school, there is a culture in our school that each family meets the school and spends some time on according to the child's plan for a year, how he will learn, what he will learn, and what has changed over this period. Because what we thought in the beginning, that in the first year we were preparing this plan, we were preparing this meeting with parents, we prepared the documents, prepared the conversation. After 2 years we see how parents started to get prepared. They write questions, they read the documents that we send them, they come in pairs, they come with a list. Parents started to come together at these meetings. I have a feeling this is the only place where realistically father, mother, and child are talking about the children's interest in the family. And very often the child feels an ability to say, especially the older children. Not all the children, but many children are preparing reflections for their parents. So it's a child, parents, and tutor. That's the format of the meeting. What I feel is that the culture of this meeting is changing. This is a joint meeting. We're together preparing it rather than school preparing for children. And this is very important, very valuable, because there's a different type of conversation taking place. Everybody understands that we're together moving to a certain goal, certain objective. It's not us or you. It's splitting, sharing the responsibility. If we talk about teachers, school, and this is also a very interesting context, that while developing teachers and developing ourselves as leaders, working on maturity of each, we're going to show you what kind of instruments we use. We don't have a complicated hierarchy, that we have a rather horizontal organization. We don't have working groups. We have a lot of decisions are made by the team rather than me as a school leader. This changes the culture of organization, of how the school is developing, how decisions are made regarding the forums and methods of working with children. So each school participant is the co-author. Everything goes together. There is not a single author. And they do it together, we do it together, and it's a miracle. There are a lot of fences, not only in terms of how school is developing, but this is a new pattern of relationship. People come and they create their own workplace. Together with teachers, we decide when we come, go. It's a great level of trust within the team and children and parents and teachers. children are here, we can ask them.
Kids also went through a lot of evolution from full acceptance to perhaps some kind of partnership relationship. We were mothers for a bit, and then we became real peers, equals in this relationship, because we were evolving as well. We had times when we took too much care, when we accepted too much, when we didn't understand where the boundary line was. And I think we are gradually making sense of this connection. Well, thanks to our big experience of travels and travels in different projects, we managed to bring IDEC to Ukraine. We had some unique guests, and I think it's very important to understand that. What's important for us is that school is not a closed space. The world is the whole school, and we believe that our kids are going to feel the same, that the school doesn't have walls, that you can study anywhere, that any trip, any meeting, any time spent together is also schooling. Like Socrates said, no one is your friend, no one is your enemy, everyone is your teacher. So we want to convey that to children. Over the past 2 years, we were visited by ex-minister of education from Bhutan about how they managed to transform the education in the only school in the only country that has the Ministry of Happiness. How the concept changed when the country has a guiding light, and this guiding light is measured not by money but by national happiness. We were visited by the great Shalvan Amanashvili, and Pata will visit us tomorrow for one day. I think it's very important to open children's hearts to the world and show them that we are all connected. And even a small experience of a little school, which only has 50 kids now, can invite and make amendments to transformations of education, not only in our country, but all over the world. And our experience is also unique. When we're talking about culture, it is very important to take into account one element. The culture does not form itself. Systemic changes really need some environment, and this is very important because the culture is when people's convictions change and when their actions change. I'll tell you what we do at school, but the school also has conditions to make it work. There's time allotted for that, there's schedule. And when it's a non-violent communication as a guiding principle of the school, it means that school has time for this, where the teachers are there, and this is our insight. Just by going through some trainings with teachers, you cannot change the culture. The culture changes when there is conditions for that, time and space. Only when it happens regularly, when we understand, truly understand why we need this, only then do we receive real changes. Same can work for yoga, for meditations. When we don't do it regularly, we don't understand how to change something. There's a system of quadrants in integral theories of organization management. In order to change the culture, all quadrants have to work. Convictions, systems, rules. We use humane teaching of Shalva Amanashvili. We are the only ones practicing this in children and with adults, and we plan to do this with a practicing team with teenagers, practices of meditation, conflict mediation, system consensus, and a huge number of integral tools of team management. management of students' teams, and management of the teaching staff. Today we would like to talk more about reflections, how this happens at school, because reflection is not just discussing what we need. It works as an analysis tool. It's an analytic tool for a half year, for a studying quarter, sort of quarter semester. We now try to analyze what happens. We wanted to show you how we do that with our kids. We wanted to make an interactive exercise here, so we'd like to invite our dear Indira. You know, you're meditating already. Come out, please. Ksusha, Atrey, and Daloka, please come out. Thank you very much for coming. We'd like to thank the parents here. You're the only children at the conference, and we'd like to thank the parents for bringing you here. It's been half a day of the conference. Everybody is sitting down. All adults are sitting down, so we wanted to make something interactive. Ksusha, can you start? Which of you feels inspired? Please stand up. Who is inspired today? Please stand up. Yeah, please sit down. Who feels tired? Please raise your hands. Thank you. Clear. Who managed to meet new people? Turn to your neighbor and shake their hands. Who feels energetic and happy? Raise both hands. Sure, you have the microphone, right? Who had lunch? Please wave your hands. Who had some calisthenics? Who didn't have time for calisthenics today? Stand up and crouch. Okay, who's hungry? Please stand up. Yeah, we have coffee breaks. You're the first in line. Who feels grateful for today? To anyone. Please applaud. Okay, kids, thank you very much. I think the energy has risen a bit because we did some moving around. Then we'd like to discuss reflection a bit. And the handouts that we've given in the beginning of the meeting, well, I'd like to call the kids, and we wanted to reflect with the boldest of you, and who can have a reflection circle with us and the kids. We need 3 adults. Okay, 3 adults. Okay. I would like to ask those of you who are with us today to please reflect on 4 quadrants that we mentioned for you, on what was happening over this half day at the conference. And I'll try to do the same with our friends.
Хорошо. Давайте мы тогда начнем с такого короткого интро. Скажите по
Let's start with a brief
одному
intro.
слову. Как вы сегодня?
Use one word. How you are today. Now.
Наташа? Давай.
One by one, please.
Одно слово.
Just one word. That's the point of the exercise. It's just that I feel lots of emotions today. And one word, yeah, emotional.
Давай, смотри.
Okay, please pass on the mic.
Алло, как ты сегодня?
Hello, how are you?
Как бы сложно сказать, день сегодня такой был
Hard to
насыщенный.
say. The day was
Да.
quite
Так что
intense
мы
today.
себя чувствуем
So I think I feel
вдохновленно, творчески.
inspired and creative.
Дуже темпі.
Very fast tempo.
Бодро. Супер.
Vigilant.
Одно слово скажи. Круто.
Cool, Ksyusha, thank you. Just one word. Tired. Okay, thank you. I can't tell yet because the day isn't over yet.
Отлично.
Perfect, thank you.
Спасибо большое.
No, sorry. I'm not the mother, I'm a participant and I feel very inspired now.
Большое. А мне очень приятно, что
Thank you very much.
что-то сказал, что он устал.
I'm very pleased that Trey said that he's tired, and it's very important that everybody knows that you're tired.
Я попробую сейчас задать вопросы.
I'll try to ask questions for reflection to adults based on the quadrant. And I'll ask you kids different questions because you weren't here at the conference. Which of the things you've heard contradict your experience? Are contrary to your experience?
С чем вы не согласны?
What do you disagree with?
Наверное, ни с чем.
I don't think there's anything. I agree with pretty much everything.
К сожалению, да.
Well, I haven't heard everything because there are 4 rooms and you want to be everywhere, but you can't make it everywhere. But I've heard lots of new and
Но убедила себя.
convincing things.
Да, нужно принимать и практиковать.
And I could persuade myself about the things that I need to implement and practice.
Алло, ну, ты хочешь на этот же
Okay, what about you? Do you want to answer the same question? Oh, well, I can ask you a different question. No, it's just that I agree with everything here. Tell us, please. What would you like to change during this summer?
Ну,
Yeah, over this summer. Well, I want to change the summer itself. I want it longer because there's not enough time for everything.
Какое главное открытие сегодняшнего дня?
What's the key revelation of today?
Я тут дальше.
The conference. It's my first time here.
Что для вас было инсайтом? Вот вы услышали?
What was an insight for you? Something that you've heard and thought, well, how did I ever live without it? Well, I gave particularly much thought to what Dima was saying before lunch today about Pushkin. Ksyusha, can you tell us, please, what's your biggest impression of this summer?
Я прям не знаю.
I don't even know.
Ну, наверное, это поездка в мой... Ну, вначале была...
I think it's a trip. At first it was July 1st and I was at a camp. I went to camp. I don't know why, but it was the biggest impression for me. First of all, because it was a forest and it was quite extreme and I like extreme things, so I really remembered it. It's really stuck in my mind. Thank you. Atrey?
Скажи, пожалуйста, для чего ты устал?
Why are you tired? Tell us, please. Because, I don't know. I'm just tired. But you feel it. Okay, superb. Indira, tell us please, what other plans do you have for summer? To celebrate my birthday, to take my little sister to kindergarten, and that's probably all. Well, what would you like to change during summer?
Я бы хотела, чтобы летом было 2 месяца.
I would like summer to have 2 months, not 3. I want to go back to school. Okay, Atra wanted to add something. Yeah, you wanted to add what you want to change. I didn't want to burn my leg. I wish I... Yeah, he was walking on clutches. I also have a plan to have a walk with my friends in the evening. Okay, what was most interesting for you today and during the conference, outside the conference? Well, I finally managed to sort out my husband's closet. Yeah, that's a very relevant topic. It's just that we just came back a few days ago. What would you like to know more about out of the things that you've heard about the democratic education and about the Israeli experience? Because I'm more familiar with their Mahin model. And it's sort of like an academy of informal education and leadership. So I'm curious to learn more about the democratic schools. Can I ask a question? But Mother, you weren't upset that my biggest impression was not a vacation, was not our vacation. Yeah, most important thing is to ask this in public. That's right. Thank you. When something happens somewhere, there is also this closure of reflections about how reflection was. It's a very brief version of how it could be. There are lots of forms of reflection. Today we did it in the context of a very big conference. Tell us, please, how did you find this? And how did you find yourselves in this circle? 1 or 3 words. Comfortable. It's interesting that the kids are expressing themselves so well. I really liked it that the kid wants to go back to school, and I wanted to ask which school it is that the kid wants. Some kids are saying, oh no, I never want summer to end, oh the school again, not the school again, but this is really, really cool. Okay, thank you. Aloha. Here's what I'd like to say. I liked this. You can express your thoughts here and you're not afraid of this. And besides, I would like to wish you at your schools, at schools themselves, at the DEC company, to have more and more success, not just in Ukraine, but also overseas. I think I want to attend your school. I really liked the circle of reflections at school, but I particularly liked Mother's lecture when I said the word mother. Yeah, it was easy and comfortable. Yeah, I can see that you got a bit of a rest.
In general, as usual, because that's how things are happening in our school. Thanks to DEC Life School, in the family we have a reflection tradition. Now I can reflect together with my 3-year-old daughter. We do it every day. We did something like this. Now I know this nice word, and I'm calling upon my husband. My husband is not. His children, great. I'm seeing for the first time that children are reflecting. I'm a bit shocked. I am both shocked and thrilled. You're marvelous children, and I'm inspired because it's expanding, because being aware of the experience for reflection, I'm grateful for ability to participate, being aware of the experience for reflection. Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you. Okay, great. So we have those who didn't participate. You want to lie down there? You can just lie down there. Again, I'd like to repeat that in our opinion, it's very important to record. Irena, the pre-speaker, I'm not sure whether went to her lecture. This is the following the actions. You actually researching the actions. So, like, you're doing something and you're analyzing, and you look how you do it. So we do it in our school, and I'd like to not just to watch on our reflection, but also stop at the moment and turn in pairs to each other and to reflect about anything, about today's day, how you feel, whether what you saw, whether you're okay with that. Can we? You can use our material. It's your freedom. Just do it. Okay? Just turn to each other in pairs. We're just finishing up. People are continuing to talk. First people don't want to talk, and then they talk. We have we'd like to sum up our meeting, and I prepared one slide, which is it's a study that shows to what degree among the children growing up is actually their ability to ask questions is declining. We're learning how to read and write with age, because it's actually the skill of asking questions is dramatically declining. It means that we know too many answers, and reflection is one of the forms to ask questions to them yourselves. Well, very often when we talk about school, one of the most common questions, is this an ideal school? How do kids survive after they come out of this school? And after living with you this reflection experience, small reflection experience, or what's most important, what's happening at the school, is that together with children we live through different situations, and we don't have an ideal school, and there is no such thing as an ideal school. No matter how you try, there are conflicts, there are fights, sometimes there are situations which are repeated everywhere, and the only difference is how together with children we live through these situations. And reflection is one of the many instruments that are allowing to live and analyze the experience that we went through with children. And or the period 2 years after declaring our 33 principles and values, only 4 are left. Many were grouped, but we are absolutely understood that in order to change, in order to arrive to the stated objectives and work according to the stated principles, this is the path. That is the path of changes, transformation of everybody, and from small steps, transformation of adults first of all, because transformation of children starts from transformation of adults. So there is a term called single educational environment, when things are happening as well are supported at home. So these transformations are working. So it's important to have a single educational environment together with parents based on partnership and be open to the parents. Okay, our part is over. We have a big bank of question bank for reflections for parents because we play different roles for teachers, for teens, and we would like to offer you to do a reflection about your day today. What is the most important thing if you and then you can put it with hashtag Dick Life School Culture, and then we'll send you our bank of reflections, which you can share with your parents, with your school. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you, to our children. So let's say big thank you to them for their participation. Great. Any questions? What are the four principles that are left? I am aware of three items. I'm not sure why you're talking about the fourth. The fourth should be born now. So all 33 principles were boiled down to three. One is child-centric education or individual educational plan as the fundamental foundation, which includes schools without marks, diagnostics, individual goals. And this is a big technological instrument for individualizing the teaching. Second, social, emotional, and ethical education, how we want to bring up our children, just good people for the world. It has to do with working with the child as a human being in order to maintain and multiply all the most valuable things. Just very simple things: honesty, compassion, open heart, some personal goals that are connected to skills. This is just upbringing. In fact, we understand that we take upon ourselves this role, upbringing of children. And number three is school as a community. We as school are saying that we're consciously saying that we're trying to be a community. We are creating the unified environment for children, parents, and teachers, where we share what we do, where there are sort of common sort of laws. All these 33 principles boil down to the three ones. Very interesting how the dynamics of a relationship between parents changed. And tell us maybe some interesting story. There are so many stories. The story is called Pants. December, cold. There is either rain or snow. 11 p.m. there is a message. It's the second day we can't find the pants. The father doesn't show up at the school because they're divorced with the mother. And the father decided how to prove he can prove life is to find the pants. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. And this is the biggest objective in his life. After talking to leaders of schools from whom he can get much more information, how his child lived through those 3 months, what do we monitor, what do we see, what kind of changes, what are the complications, what are the challenges, what are the good things, what is happening deeply with the child. Very often it happens that is to find pants at 11 p.m. is much more important. This is the beginning of the story. And the end of the story is that we told one of our families when to a Manashvili camp, Sveta and I went there 2 times, and our family that got inspired with stories what's happening there after the first session in June. And we said that we would like to pay to 5 teachers the trip to this camp. We would like to make a contribution for a school. They gave $5,000, and our teachers went there. And they didn't come back yet. They just went there recently, and this is the beginning and the end. And we weren't even asking them if the culture to give, we will continue to create it, and it just appears. I'd like to comment, this is the story that is showing the evolution of relationship, how parents relate to school, and how our relationship to parents evolutionized. When we created the school, and the first 6 months were quite difficult, and I think our position was very defensive. When you are attacked, you're starting to defend. Normal reaction. We attacked too. I think we went through a very serious contradiction, like trying to defend ourselves and tell to one of the most beautiful things that happened to us is how we relate to our parents, because the evolution was happening from attacking and criticizing each other, and we thought that the parents were always wrong or school was always wrong. We actually opened up and we saw that they have the same needs. We both want the same thing regarding the child. We want the child to be happy, to grow harmonically. We have the same needs. And so this enlightening, and when we saw in parents the same thing as we want, it's actually quite a bit. It's an ability to see a number of points of view. So teaching the nonviolent communication, we talked about our needs, and then we analyze what is their emotion, what are their needs, even when they're looking for pens, and opening up their heart. And at the moment where he wants to find the pens at 11 p.m., there are some deep needs. When you accept it and we say, okay, pens, then there is a true partnership that is appearing. Thank you.